And welcome back to Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes. We're done with the 3/8 track, putting that away. 200 laps for the Summer Showdown on the 5/8 mile. 31 of the best super late models on the West Coast. And we had some interesting action from last week's show. The top three on the podium, they all three opted to go to the back of the pack to go for extra money.
Yeah, extra $10,000 for any of those drivers, Donnie Wannett or Garrett Evans. They can finish in the top three. And if Preston Peltier can win the race, he gets an extra $40,000. So keep an eye on those drivers. They're going to navigate their way through this 31-car field.
Yeah, 80 grand is possible for Preston Peltier to walk away with this weekend after winning on last week's show. And there's might be some tempers left over from Derek Thorne. I mean, he's a pretty calm, cool, collected guy, but you never know when you're behind the wheel of the race car with that helmet on. You never can see what side can pop out of the race car.
Yeah, you got some of the best in the country on this one here, and I definitely think they're professionals. They'll get by with it, but let's take a look at this amazing field of cars we have here.
The pole is that 65 of Tyler Tanner, sponsored by 90 Creative, and is outside the 43, the very hungry Derek Thorne, sponsored by 5150.
Former winner of the 15-car, Taylor Riddle, sponsored by Jim's Hay. The outside of him is brother Owen Riddle in the 10-car, sponsored by Don Riddle Excavating.
And in the next row, we got the 25F of Brandon Farrington, sponsored by Wells Johnson. His outside the 57, Dylan Capello, sponsored by Quick Response Garage Door Services.
Then the 24H of Tristan Hyder, sponsored by Thurston County Transmission. And the outside of him, the youngster 55 of Hayden Plybond, sponsored by Cascade Rain Gutters.
In row number 5, we got the 14 of Chris Davidson, sponsored by Davidson Electric. And at his outside, the 00 Hero, Nama Lang, sponsored by Zip Fizz.
Then you bring on Austin Tom in the 93 car, sponsored by Cheryl Williams. And the 12 car, Trent Moriarty, sponsored by Aquajet.
The 64 of Garrett Evans, sponsored by Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore. And his outside, the 89 of Donnie Wannett, sponsored by Pathfinder Chassis.
Then the 25M of Randy Marshall Jr., sponsored by Dawson Truck Repair. And the Moxie Missile, the 37, Mike Longton, sponsored by Pendleton Excavating Paving.
Then we got the 16 of Daniel Moore, sponsored by Monroe Grocery Outlet. And to his outside, the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, number 7, Bryce Bazanson.
Then the 43V of Cody Vanderwaal, sponsored by Advanced Dairy Services. The 70 of Jeff Knight, sponsored by Nitrous Ranch and Cattle.
The next row, we got the 17 of Max Schroeder, sponsored by Zach Jengelson, Compass Real Estate. And to his outside, the 3 of Wild Wyatt Gunner, sponsored by Wild Wild Racing.
Then he brings NASCAR Cup Series driver Ty Dillon, the 2 car, sponsored by the Big Heart Smile Foundation. And the 48T of Tanner Holmes, sponsored by Johansson Mechanical.
The 22 of John Lathrop Sr., sponsored by Lakes Body Shop. And to his outside, coming from the back, the 18 of Preston Peltier, sponsored by Angel Lewins.
Then you have the 20 of Jay Sauls, a former winner, sponsored by Shea Grigsby. The 98 of Greg Bennett, sponsored by Bennett Construction.
Then we got the 52 Ryan Philpott. They made a motor change overnight from the Pro to the Super, sponsored by Hacienda Pools. And to his outside, the 78 of Jesse Little, sponsored by Shriners Hospital, actually inside the 91 car of Rob Dees.
Yeah, and then finally Cole Raz, who missed qualifying, actually had a brand new motor put into it right before race time. That's the 21 of Cole Raz, sponsored by Wells Johnson.
Yeah, that's actually his brother's motor that he was able to get. So it's good having family connections in racing as they come by. Look at the fans, a packed house of Evergreen Speedway. All the fans waving the flags, saluting the drivers as they get one to go this time by. How awesome of a shot is that, seeing the grandstands this full?
They're coming slow this time by, but next time you're going to see them come down the front stretch full speed. It's something special to feel the horsepower, the grandstands here at Evergreen Speedway when you get that many late models coming at you.
And it is a very stacked field. I mean, Derek Thorne, the number 1 late model driver in the country, about to put on a show for all these fans.
And look at that grandstand, just packed full, and the biggest crowds we've seen ever for Summer Showdown. And they are in for an exciting one right here as Derek Thorne and Tyler Tanner side by side through the corner. They're going to get the go right here off of turn number 4.
Tyler Tanner, very well known in the state of Washington when it comes to super late model racing. As the green flag is in the air, Derek Thorne with a great jump on the outside, and he's going to see if he's able to carry that momentum. The Riddle brothers in row number 2. Taylor Riddle washing up ever so slightly inside. It's going to allow Dylan Capello to get to his back bumper.
You see Tyler Tanner with the advantage this time going down into turns 3 and 4, but Derek Thorne just used a horsepower on the outside lane there. They come down the front stretch there and gets the advantage there that time by Tyler Tanner.
That camera angle really shows the characteristics of this racetrack, this 5/8 mile. Derek Thorne leading lap number 1, then Tyler Tanner in the 65, Owen Riddle in the 10 as they howl down the back straightaway, flying by right into your living room as it is a full field of super late models.
Yeah, what a shot there. They come down full speed, almost 130 miles per hour down into turn number 3, and you see Derek Thorne already using this advantage here, about 5 car lengths over Tyler Tanner. You see the battles back to the field. You see there Ty Dillon, very off the pace in that 2 car. NASCAR IndyCar Cup Series driver, going to pull it behind the wall here early in this race, so tough break for the driver of the 2.
Yeah, it's almost like there's something wrong in the rear end there. You see that left front tire almost leaning a little bit forward and a little bit off center from where it should be in that 2 car as he pulls it in early. Tough break there as we're going to go onto the front stretch cameras. The cars continue to go by. Still under green flag conditions, which is good, but we're going to ride on board and see what happened with Ty Dillon here.
Yeah, as you see, comes down the front stretch there and just kind of just felt it probably break off of the corner there and just said, hey, you know what? It's not worth going into turn number 1 full speed. I'm going to pull it back here and pulls it behind the wall. So his first time out here at Evergreen Speedway in a super late model and not the way he wanted to end.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to see him come back and get redemption after that. Only going 3 laps. That's got to be heartbreak for Ty Dillon after all this anticipation, all the races he's come here to watch, and to be out that early, it's got to be tough for him.
We see Chris Davidson in the 14 car as he comes by this time here. The Texas driver, he's finished 2nd in this race, 3rd in this race. Loves coming up here from Texas to race here and has always been very, very strong and always very fast.
Yeah, he's gotten 2 spots on the podium. He's just missing that first place, that 25 grand trophy, as he's battling hard with Tristan Hyder, who's had a pretty good season here in the Northwest Super Late Model Series. He's raced at a few different tracks here. In that 24 car, he's been very impressive.
Yeah, looking very good there early on this race. Only a 2nd race ever on the 5/8 track here. And the 5/8 track is a tricky track for many drivers. It drives different than anything else really on the West Coast and almost anything in the country. As when drivers come here, they say, watch out for it. You see the 37 car, the Moxie Missile, they call him, of Mike Longton, the inside of Austin Tom down the backstretch as those 2 battle for position. Mike Longton, a brand new race car for him, and his first time out in it. And then Austin Tom has been racing all over the country, the Oregon-based driver.
Yeah, he was over in Indiana, I believe, at Anderson Speedway not too long ago for the Red Bud, and that's a very different track compared to Evergreen Speedway, a big 5/8 mile to a little bull ring, and so it's definitely a big change of pace as we see a couple of the fast guys from the back of the pack. That's Cole Raz and Preston Peltier, one with the motor change, one going back to try to win 80 grand.
Yeah, as you see both those drivers hungry, trying to pick off as much traffic as they can. Really just want to get as much movement up for you can before the first 100 break. So there's a break at lap 100 in these cars. They get to switch tires out. So some drivers conserve those tires. Some drivers just really use those tires up.
Yeah, for the drivers like Cole Raz and Preston Peltier, who went to the back, Donnie Wan and Garrett Evans, they're probably going to use up those tires more than anyone else, trying to make as many passes as they can. And they're probably hoping for a caution or 2 in this first segment to get as many positions as they can on track without having to do it the hard way. As we're going to go back, they get around Daniel Moore as they got Cody Vanderwaal, Bryce Bezanson not far in front of them. So still trying to knock on the door in the top 20.
Yeah, those drivers have moving up through the field there. As you see Cole Raz now right there in the back of Cody Vanderwaal. And you got to think those 2 drivers are very fast. Cole Raz was fast the whole entire week before his motor blew, but didn't really get a whole lot of track time on that motor. And you got to wonder sometimes when you make a motor change that fast, you just never know how it's going to work out for you.
Yeah, I love this shot right here. Them going off that big hump off the corner as they go flying down the front straightaway. Preston Peltier gets around Cole Raz, so Cole Raz is going to let him lead the way for a little bit. Cody Vanderwaal on that 43. He's been here with the ARC Series, the K&N Series, and so it's a very different style of racing from a super late model with a ton of power to those big-bodied touring cars that he's raced here before. So definitely a whole different experience for Cody Vanderwaal on that 43.
You see Bryce Bezanson, one of the local drivers here, has had some good success this year in the Northwest Super Late Model Series there. That outside of Preston Peltier, and Cole Raz going to fall right behind Preston Peltier, try to pick him off there. Oh, he gets a little loose there. You get too low in turn 2 there, and you really can wash out the back into your car there. You kind of want to run up about a half a groove off of the corner. That's kind of the fast way around turns 1 and 2. And you see Preston Peltier now going to close in on a very tough handling number 25 car of Randy Marshall Jr. So we go back up front here with Derek Thorne, your leader.
Yeah, this back straightaway shot really shows the gap between 1st and 5th. There is the 5th place car of Taylor Riddle, that red one we saw go by screen all the way up to about 10th position. Derek Thorne, he's just out in cruise control right now. Hasn't quite caught lap traffic yet, although that's probably not too far in front of him with Tyler Tanner and Owen Riddle not far on his tails. We're going to go back to this pack of, looks like Cole Raz trying to get the inside of Bryce Bezanson still. Looked like last time through 1 and 2, Bezanson almost chopped down on Cole Raz, and Cole had to get out of the throttle big time as they're going to go side by side as they touch. Cody Vanderwaal and Bryce Bezanson make hard contact off the corner, as that can easily cut a tire here on that 5/8 mile when you're going that fast. So we're going to have to keep an eye on these 2 drivers, as that's not what you want to do early on in a race.
As you see Daniel Moore in the 16 car, and a familiar face to this booth right here, the 70 car, Jeff Knight, back in the racetrack, back in the car. He makes a move up to the field. So Jeff Knight is his first race back in 1 year.
Yeah, you see them go underneath that that BECU banner. BECU is the sponsor of this segment. The Boeing Employee Credit Union believes in people over profit. BECU, altogether different, as we're going to check back up front with your leaders. Derek Thorne with a pretty good lead over Tyler Tanner. Owen Riddle almost gaining in on that 65 car. I wouldn't want to lose that second spot too early on.
Yeah, as you see, just 15 laps into this race, not a whole lot of movement too much of these leaders, just kind of riding the pace right now. And lap traffic, though, is always one that plays a factor in the 5/8 track. And about 20 laps into it, you start catching those lap traffic.
Yeah, if you take a look at the ticker, a few of the young guns hanging out inside the top 10. Brandon Farrington, he's made a few trips here before. It's probably the best piece that he's had all year long, or adding the races at Evergreen Speedway. He's hanging inside just outside the top 5. Hayden Plybon, his second race ever on the 5/8 mile oval in that 55 car. And then Tristan Hyder, who actually attempted to make the Summer Showdown a few years ago and then ended up wrecking out in practice. So this is actually his first full start on the 5/8 mile. He's had laps here before. This is his first time making the show, so that 24 car is looking good inside the top 10.
You see Preston Peltier slowly picking off each and every position he can, chasing that $80,000 payday. You see him starting to gain on the 12 car. Trent Moriarty, a former two-time track champion here at Evergreen Speedway. It's been a while since he's been on the 5/8 track out here, and we love that looking car. It's called the Two-Face car. Multi-different color combinations, black and white on one side, full color on the other side.
Yeah, definitely one of the most unique super late models you'll see anywhere in the country. As we're going to check back up with Derek Thorne, and there it is, that lap traffic all in front of him. We got Jay Sauls and Philpott, the first two cars that he will catch, but it is a long line of lap cars in front of that as the top 3 start to condense.
Former winner of this race back in 2013, Jay Sauls, riding towards the back down there as we take the inside look here with Tristan Hyder as he rides through the lap traffic right there. You see him falling behind Hayden Plybon, that muffler mark machine in front of him there. Just how fast this track is in the 5/8. It's exciting to run along with him.
Yeah, this is a great camera view. You see him have to work the wheel a little bit of right hand, a lot of right hand turn actually off of turn number 4 as he let that tail end of the car hang out wide. You see the different lines you can take. It's really cool seeing how big the track is from this perspective. There's quite a few different lines drivers can take. You can wash up, kind of diamond off turns 1 and 2, and dive all the way down underneath the white lines in turn 3 and 4.
Loose is fast off of turn number 4 here, but loose is sometimes slow off of turn number 2. So it's kind of like they kind of counteract each other a little bit there of how you drive these corners. Like we've said before, 1 and 2 completely different driven than 3 and 4. As we'll be back with more racing after these messages here on CW11's Home Track Heroes.